was Steve Howe and Yes, and I've Seen All Good People, the solo to it, and maybe a little bit more. We're going to go over the solo note for note. I do have the tab for it, so you want to download it, and we'll also go through some of the riffs and some of the little fills that he does to the song. It's a really cool one, really fun one to play. And anyway, as always, if you like it, please click the like button, and if you haven't yet, subscribe for one of these every single week. Okay, see you in just a second. Okay, gang, let's go over this note for note. We'll do the solo first, and then we'll do the riff. Now, don't forget to download the tab. It's going to make your life on the solo a lot easier. Now, a couple of notes about the sound. I'm using a semi-hollow out of the bridge pickup to get that trebly Steve Howe sound. And you definitely want a clean sound on this. And it's one of the challenges of this song is that you're playing this without a lot of sustain, and you're playing it clean, so your mistakes are all sort of naked to the wind. Everybody's going to hear them. So do play it slowly and slowly bring it up to speed. Okay, so here we go. Here's the intro or the segue to the solo. Alright, so it's basically the same riff as we'll cover later in the main part of the song, starting as in A. And then we're slipping up to 7, which is a little bit different than in the main song, as you'll find out later, but we're slipping up to 7 and playing the lick. And then we're going up to 11 and playing that lick. So it's basically just like the beginning of that of the song, but we're sliding up to slightly different places, the 7th and the 11th. Okay, now let's do the solo proper. It's going to start out with this lick. Okay, that's just an A chord. It's a little bit tricky, but I think once you get it, you'll get it. You'll form an A chord, and you're just playing the 3rd, 4th, and 3rd, 4th, and 5th strings. And you're pulling off on the 7th, on the 4th, to the 5th on the 4th string. And then you're playing the 7th on the 5th string. You're doing that 3 times. Okay, that's that. Okay, here's the next part. Now that is a tricky lick. At least to my ears, that's about what it is. I may have a note off there, here and there. I think that's okay. In any event, there's a tricky thing that Steve Howe used to always do. He did a double pick on a lot of his stuff. Did a lot of that kind of stuff. And it's tricky. It's tricky to get those first 2 quick picks in there. So if you have trouble doing that, you can just pull the whole thing off to open, and it'll just sound fine. The key is to get a 4-note cadence on each string, and that sounds good. That's going to sound fine. If you're playing that, it's going to sound fine. It's a heck of a lot easier than that. All right. Anyway, once you get that, here's the next lick. Okay, let's play that slowly. It starts out with a 6th double stop on the outlining an A chord, sliding down to a G. Okay, one more time, very slowly. Okay, this next lick is a chromatic lick. It starts on the 1st string, and it's going to cascade downward, but upwards in frets, and I'll show you how. So it goes like this. On that last string, you have to do one extra thing. So you're playing 4 notes per string chromatically up, and then you're dropping a string but increasing a fret. Okay, and that one is definitely tough to get up to speed. If you have trouble doing it, you can of course hammer on. And that's a lot easier than picking every note. Steve Howe picked every note, so you can aspire to that, but if you have trouble with it, just hammer on. Here's the next line. Okay, this is I find this to be very tough to play up at speed. It's a kind of a dissonant sounding lick, and it uses Steve Howe's staccato picking. In any event, what you're doing is you're playing on the 4th string, and you're going to ascend up 4, 3, 2, 1 as you're moving up the fretboard. Again, you're going to start out by playing the 12, pulling off to the 9, and then the 11 on the 5th. All right, like so. And then you're going to play 14 and pull off to the 11 on the 3rd. Okay, and then move it up to the 2nd string. You have to play on the 15th and 12th. Now, just a note, the pattern on the 2nd string moving to 3rd is slightly different. You're pulling off and playing on the 13th instead of the 14th. It's going to sound okay if you play the 14th. Nobody's going to know. You'll know, maybe, so you can try playing it, but anyway. And then finally, the last one is on the 17th, pulling off to the 14th. Here's the whole line again. That's a difficult line, so play it slowly. Okay, here's the last really tough line of the solo, I find, anyway. I guess it's not really that tough. What you're playing is, now I should say a lot of people do this in different ways. You can play all on the 2nd and go all the way up. I'm doing this because I don't like switching positions so much. So I'm playing on the 4th, I'm playing 9 and 12, hammering onto 12, and then what I'll do is I'll play the top string, the top E, open. So like this, 9, 12 on the 4th string, and then play the open E on the 1st string. Now I'm moving up into the 12th position, and I'm hammering on, again, on the 4th string, playing 12, 14. Always with that drone on the 1st string. Okay, now I'm moving up to the 3rd string, playing 12, 14. Now I'm moving up to the 2nd string, playing 12 and 15. Now I'm moving up to I'm still on the 2nd string, I'm playing the 15 and 17. And now I'm playing the 17th and 20th. And I'm doing that over and over and over. Okay, here it is again. Okay, here's the next line. Okay, so this is just hammering off an E chord. So you'll play this open. I do a little smear on the 6th string. And then I play an open E. So this is just playing an A chord, right? So 4, 3, and 2 strings on the 14th fret. And then 4, 3, and 2 strings on the 12th fret, but I'm hammering on and off on the 3rd string to the 13th. Okay, then I'll play just the, so this is 14, 14 on the on the second and third strings. And then, let's see, on the third string you're playing the 16th fret, and on the second string you're playing the 15th fret. So this is, I think you're used to that. Okay, one more time. Now you're just going to do it down here. And you're back into the... Okay, so that's it for the solo. Now let's cover the main riff, and then the two main riffs. Okay, so the main riff, where John Anderson's singing "I've seen all good people," that's basically it's a riff that starts in A. So we're basically just going to play not a power chord, but just the fifth and the fourth string, the A, like you're playing a boogie. And then you're going to play on the third string. You're going to bend up on the fourth fret. If you get a whole step, that's great. Steve Howe did a very quick bend a lot of the time, so it wasn't always quite a whole step, but close. So that's basically it. You do that twice. Then you just move the whole pattern up 2 frets. Okay, so that's that. Now, one of the things you can do that sounds really cool is you can play I'm a little bit out of tune here. That's better. Okay, one of the things you can do is you can play sixths. So you can play sixth in B flat. That sounds good. You can play them in A. That sounds less good because you're usually on that B chord. But you can also play them in E. And they sound just really good. He uses them all the time in this song. So give those a try. Okay, the other part that's going on is this. Right? So that progression is simply, it's an E. It's all boogie, right? So you're just playing that kind of stuff. And it goes from E to D to C to G. Then back to your... All right? And you can play that progression up here if you want, by playing this E right here. And you can use a lot of stuff like that, like walking bass. That kind of stuff. Sounds pretty good. All right. The last part that I want to show you is the little... standard sort of country-ish lick, and it starts on that A chord. We're going to play the 12th and on the first and second string, and on the second we're going to bend up a whole step. We're just going to hold the first string constant. Give that 2. Let it come down and pull off to the 10th. Then play the 11th and the 9th on the third string. Okay? One more time. Now you just move the whole thing up 2 for that B. And of course. And that's it, gentlemen and ladies. That's it. Hope you enjoyed this one and have a lot of fun with it. This one's a challenge. Okay, see you on down the road.